Have you ever noticed that sometimes people think that if you don't have a crowd around you, there must be something wrong with you? They keep looking at you, judging and concluding, oh, how can she not have friends? Or why did this woman choose to go alone like that? But I want you to stop and think a little about it. Don't be quick to think that someone being alone means they are weak. Actually, this could be a sign of a hidden strength that you haven't seen yet. Today, I want to talk about the image of a woman who is not afraid to be alone, who does not need anyone standing next to her to validate her worth. She chooses to go alone not because she can't make friends or have relationships. No, she stands alone because she knows exactly who she is and doesn't need anyone's validation. It's not loneliness, it's freedom, it's strength. So let's reflect together what makes a woman able to stand strong without the crowd around her. This question is not only about her, but also about each of us, about the true value of independence and confidence. That is the strength that comes from within, from self-respect and courage. And today I'm here to say that true strength lies in the ability to stand firm on your own, not always needing recognition from others. There is a strength when a woman chooses to walk alone. People might think she is isolated, but in reality she is displaying a proud independence. The world always tends to demand recognition, pushing people to immerse themselves in large groups to feel that they have value. But there are some women who don't need that because they don't need others to validate their worth. That value has been within them, clear and undeniable. A woman who can stand strong without anyone by her side is someone who understands herself well. She doesn't seek approval from others to affirm her own worth. This is called self-validation, self-affirmation. Self-assertion comes from her knowing who she is, what she wants, and not needing anyone to confirm it. A strong woman does not need to let others define her worth. She doesn't wait for others to give her permission to feel confident. Confidence comes from self-respect, self-awareness, and the courage to live according to her beliefs. The power of silence is also an important part. An independent woman does not feel the need to be in a large group or to raise her voice to feel important. When she is alone, she listens to her inner voice more clearly. The noise from the outside world cannot distract her, for she is accustomed to the peace within. It is in those moments of silence that she confronts herself, thinks deeply, and finds her own truth, instead of being swept away by the desires and opinions of others. For her, existence is not based on superficial social relationships. She doesn't need to rely on relationships to feel like she exists. For her, self-care is an important skill that helps her not only survive, but also truly thrive. She can stand up on her own, make her own decisions, and rise on her own. Self-sufficiency is not just a way of life, but a manifestation of inner strength, of the confidence to live and thrive without relying on anyone else. The woman who chooses to go alone understands that she does not need to change herself to fit in with the crowd. She doesn't need anyone's praise to feel confident. She has faith in herself, and that faith cannot be shaken. When someone judges or criticizes her, she remains unshaken because she knows she doesn't need to please others. Her self-confidence does not depend on compliments, criticism, or anything from the outside. She understands that true strength lies in standing firm in her beliefs. In this journey, she learned how to face things that others might find difficult. Not everyone is willing to go alone, but she did it. There are tiring days, there are nights without anyone by her side, but it is those moments that help her explore herself more deeply. Difficulties do not make her weak. On the contrary, they help her cultivate inner strength, making her realize that every challenge is an opportunity to become stronger. She doesn't need anyone by her side to boost her confidence. That belief comes from within, from an understanding of one's own worth. When others see a woman walking alone, they often think she is lonely, but the truth is she is free. She has the ability to make decisions independently without being bound by the expectations of others. This is not isolation, but independence. That is a state of freedom where she can develop on her own, learn on her own, and overcome all challenges on her own. She has learned to love herself and accept all aspects of herself, both strong and weak. That love is the foundation of her confidence. When she doesn't need others' validation, she feels lighter and freer. The expectations from society are no longer a burden, but merely distant voices. She lives by her own values, and it is this that creates an unbeatable strength. She understood that only by affirming her own worth could she truly be strong. One of the greatest characteristics of a confident woman is that she is not easily swayed by external pressure. Others might try to make her change, might say that the path she has chosen is a mistake, that a woman shouldn't be so strong. But she knows herself well, knowing that the path she chooses is not to please anyone else, but to live a life that truly has meaning for herself. Criticism or prejudice cannot shake her because she has learned to listen to herself and understand the voice of her heart. This does not mean that she is immune to difficulties or challenges. On that journey of independence, she also went through dark days and moments of self-doubt. But instead of seeking help from the outside, she chose to face and overcome it on her own. She is not afraid to accept challenges and use them as opportunities to train herself. Every time she gets back up after a hardship, she becomes stronger and understands herself better. Every time she overcomes a challenge without relying on anyone, her confidence grows even stronger. For some people, independence can be difficult to understand, even frightening. But for her, this is the only way to live a life without regrets. She doesn't want to live based on validation or praise from others, because she understands that her worth cannot be measured by the eyes of the world. Her value lies in the courage to live true to herself, in the patience to overcome difficulties, and in the ability to create happiness from within. This is a strength that no one can take away, a strength built from the moment she stood firm on her own. That confident woman doesn't need the crowd's applause or a group of people beside her to feel special. She can be proud of herself even when no one is watching. This comes from deep self-awareness, from the ability to accept the imperfect aspects of oneself, and from the continuous effort to become the best version of oneself. Her independence is not isolation, but a deliberate choice. That's a way of life, a way to protect oneself from unnecessary things, from negativity and pressure from the outside world. There is a saying, a confident woman is a woman who never needs to apologize for being herself. Please provide the text you would like me to translate. She doesn't apologize for her strength, doesn't apologize for choosing to walk alone when necessary, and certainly doesn't apologize for living according to her own values. She knows that creating her own happiness is one of the strongest skills a woman can have. When she no longer depended on others to feel happy or full of life, she gifted herself the present of freedom. The woman knows what she wants, understands her worth, and this gives her the ability to have deep insights into relationships. For her, quantity has never been as important as quality. She doesn't need a long list of friends nor hundreds of acquaintances to feel meaningful. She realized that a genuine relationship where understanding and mutual respect exist is much more valuable than hundreds of superficial relationships. Not everyone deserves her time and energy, and she knows it. She carefully chooses who enters her life, understanding that true friends are those who can accompany her through difficult times, not just those who appear when things are going well. For her, friendship is not about always being together, but about understanding each other even without words. She doesn't need friends to show off, but rather those who will be loyal and stand by her when she truly needs them. A strong woman does not feel pressured to maintain relationships that she knows are insincere. Instead of being bound by societal standards that she must have a large network of friends, she focuses on relationships that bring her peace and comfort. She seeks depth and meaning, not glamour. She understands that every relationship needs a foundation based on truth, not a superficial facade to those social image. Peace comes from not being pressured to maintain unnecessary relationships. She doesn't feel the need to make friends just to have a longer list of acquaintances, nor does she feel the need to meet up for socializing if there isn't a true connection. Sincerity is what she values the most. She understands that true friends will always understand and respect the boundaries she sets. It is a deep trust in each other that doesn't always need to be spoken. This is a type of friendship that is not easy to find, but once you have it, it becomes an invaluable source of strength. The woman who is not afraid of being alone realizes that she can freely choose the person she wants to accompany. Not everyone can become her friend because she doesn't lower her standards to please anyone. She only opens her heart to those who understand the value of friendship and appreciate what she brings. This is not arrogance, but respect for oneself and for true friends. The people she calls friends are not just there for the good times, but will be ready to stay even when things get tough. Genuine relationships are the support that allows her to be herself without having to pretend. Honesty makes her feel safe, without needing to build any image for others to perceive. She can express all aspects of herself, from strength to vulnerability, from joy to deep sorrow. That is where she can find true empathy, where she doesn't have to hide herself. Every time she shares with her sincere friends, she feels relieved, comfortable, and more confident in herself. The woman understands that in a world where relationships are sometimes merely transactional, finding a genuine friendship is not easy. She doesn't hesitate to cut off unhealthy relationships because she understands that her life doesn't need more negativity or people who only demand without any empathy. She is so used to facing challenges on her own, and if she had to choose between loneliness and being with someone insincere, she would choose loneliness. She respects herself and understands that spending time with sincere friends will bring her deeper value than maintaining superficial relationships. She doesn't always find friends she can truly trust, but that doesn't make her sad. She knows that true friendship is a rare thing, and she patiently waits. She is not caught up in the race for recognition from the crowd, nor does she pursue relationships to showcase herself. Confidence shows her that if a true friend appears, the relationship will naturally develop without any need for force or proof. And when she meets the right person, she is willing to open her heart because she knows this is a worthy relationship. In solitude, a woman can find the space to truly understand herself. She not only lives but also enjoys the tranquility, finding peace when not surrounded by the voices and opinions of others. That is the time when she can ask herself important questions like, what do I really want, or who am I in this life? These questions are not always easy to answer, but it is in solitude that she has the time and space to explore each answer, to listen to the voice from within. Loneliness opens a door to the process of self-discovery. In a world that always demands attention, solitude is a rare moment when one can take time for oneself to reflect and contemplate. She can reflect on her experiences, understand her personal values, and clearly identify the goals she truly desires. Every day, she discovers new things about herself, realizing the hidden desires that were previously obscured by the noise of life. This is the time she can set aside external pressures and focus entirely on understanding what she truly wants in life. Loneliness is also an opportunity for her to develop resilience and inner strength. When there was no one around to lean on, she learned to face difficulties on her own. This does not mean that she does not feel fear or does not face challenges, but rather that she has learned to accept and overcome them. When she no longer depends on others to control her emotions, she builds resilience, a strength that comes from self-management, facing her fears and overcoming her limits. Every time she faces difficulties alone, she becomes stronger and gains a better understanding of her own resilience. A woman who is not afraid of loneliness will easily establish boundaries for herself. When there aren't too many people around, she can see more clearly what is important and what isn't worth spending time or energy on. Loneliness helped her realize that not everyone deserves to be by her side. She can set her own boundaries to protect herself from unhealthy things. When she has inner peace, she no longer fears judgment or criticism because she knows she is living according to the values she respects. For her, loneliness is not a negative thing, but a necessary period to balance life. It's like stopping on a long journey to look back and check the direction. She understands that every time she spends time in solitude, she has another opportunity to adjust and renew herself. Moments alone help her recharge, making her strong enough to face all the challenges ahead. That is the time she dedicates to herself, to recover and prepare for the next journeys. Not because she is afraid or discouraged, but because she understands that it is the way to protect her mental health and balance. When she chooses solitude, she is also choosing to live authentically. In a private space, she can set aside all societal expectations and live the way she wants. It's not because she can't have a companion, but because she doesn't need anyone else to feel complete. She understands that happiness does not come from others, but from taking control of her own life. And when she was no longer bound by the expectations of others, she became freer than ever. She can discover joy in every little moment, and she can create happiness for herself without seeking it externally. The greatest benefit of solitude is the ability to be confident in one's self-worth without needing anyone's validation. When not influenced by the opinions of others, she becomes more steadfast and more confident in her decisions. She doesn't need anyone to tell her she's important because she knows her worth. She doesn't need to please anyone because she understands herself and doesn't need external approval. Loneliness helps her build a foundation of confidence that no one can take away. A solid inner strength that surpasses all judgments and prejudices. When living alone, she learned to love herself deeply and sincerely. She doesn't wait for someone to come and tell her that she deserves to be loved. She found that love within herself, from accepting all aspects of herself, both the imperfections and the things she is still striving to improve. Loneliness helped her realize that love does not necessarily have to come from the outside. It can start from within her own heart. When she loves herself, she doesn't need anyone else to compensate or fill any gaps because she already feels complete. Loneliness is not a sign of weakness, but a manifestation of courage. She is brave enough to be alone, facing her emotions without avoiding them. Moments alone give her the opportunity to understand the different aspects of herself better, thereby building a solid foundation to face the world. She doesn't need to be fake or hide anything because she doesn't live to please anyone else. In solitude, she can see herself more clearly, freely living true to her real self without having to justify. Loneliness is a transformative process that helps her grow and become the best version of herself. She understands that to achieve this, one needs to take time for oneself, to reflect, contemplate, and change. She is not afraid of change because she knows it is a natural part of life. And it was the loneliness, the courage to face herself in silence, that helped her find the true meaning of life. A woman who is not afraid of loneliness realizes that time alone is also an opportunity to develop skills and learn. When there are no other people around, she can focus on self-improvement without being distracted. She can explore new hobbies, read books that bring her a lot of meaning, or start personal projects that she didn't have time for before. Loneliness gives her the space to experiment and explore herself, thereby building a rich and diverse life without depending on anyone. There are times when she may face difficulties, challenges that seem insurmountable, but it was in those moments that she learned to face difficulties on her own. Instead of seeking comfort from the outside, she delves deep within to find strength. This helps her learn to trust herself, to believe in her ability to overcome any obstacles. Loneliness helps her cultivate a steady mindset, a resilient spirit that is not easily attained when there is always someone else by her side. She understands that when there is no one left to rely on, oneself is the best support. The woman who is not afraid of loneliness also realizes that this time gives her the opportunity to heal and recharge. She can take time to reflect on past wounds, to let go of what no longer fits. Loneliness helps her purify herself, shedding unnecessary burdens to continue her journey more lightly. In the quiet space of solitude, she can confront her pain, learn to forgive herself and others. This is not an easy process, but it helps her recreate a new version of herself, stronger and more at peace. Time spent alone also helped her understand the value of simplicity. When she is no longer caught up in the noise and hustle of society, she can enjoy the simplest pleasures. It could be a quiet morning with a cup of coffee, a good book, or simply watching the sunlight streaming through the window. Those moments helped her realize that happiness doesn't always require luxurious things, but sometimes it is just peaceful, genuine moments. Loneliness taught her to appreciate the small things, and from that she found joy in the simplest of things. Not everyone can fully enjoy solitude because for many people, loneliness is a fear. But that strong woman learned how to turn fear into an opportunity for growth. She realized that loneliness is not something to be feared, but rather a part of the journey of self-discovery and growth. It gives her time to be still, to clearly hear the voice of her heart, to realize what she truly desires in life. She not only accepts loneliness, but also cherishes it, because she knows that this is the time she can truly be herself. During that process, she also understood that loneliness is a valuable lesson about love. When no one was left by her side, she learned to love herself, take care of herself, and become proud of herself. That love does not depend on anyone, nor does it need anyone to acknowledge or approve it. It comes from within, from acceptance and self-understanding. When she fully loves herself, she doesn't need to seek love from outside to feel complete. This is a state of freedom that not everyone can achieve. Women who are not afraid of loneliness are often those who have the ability to endure and be patient. Loneliness taught her how to wait, how not to rush into searching for something just to fill the void. She knows that good things will come when they are ready, and she is willing to wait until that happens. This patience helps her become calm, preventing her from feeling the pressure of having to seek happiness from the outside. She found peace within herself, and this helps her not be easily affected. She knows that when she is grateful for the lonely times, she will also be grateful for true friends when they appear. Loneliness helps her clearly distinguish between a real relationship and a superficial one. This helps her build higher quality relationships as she has experienced and understands how valuable true friends are. When a woman decides to live the way she wants, not chasing after the expectations of others, that is when she achieves a rare freedom. In modern life, people are often pressured to perform, to integrate, and to conform to social norms in order to be accepted by others. But a woman who knows what she wants doesn't need to try to prove it to anyone. She focuses on what truly matters to her, not letting societal expectations dictate her life. Freedom comes when she no longer has to worry about meeting external demands. She doesn't need to live by the standards set by others, nor worry about how others will judge her. Instead, she could spend her energy focusing on things that make her life richer and more meaningful. She can invest in her passions and values that she cherishes, not because others think it's the right thing to do, but because it's what she wants to do. When she no longer has to live under the shadow of expectations, she is free to explore and create without limitations. Not having to prove oneself to anyone is a great source of strength. She doesn't need to seek praise or approval from others to feel confident. She knows her worth and doesn't need to boast for others to recognize it. She doesn't try to impress anyone because she understands that true confidence comes from within. That freedom allows her to live a peaceful life, unburdened by the need to become a model that society expects. Living authentically without hiding or pretending brings her peace. She doesn't need to wear masks to please others. Living authentically helps her feel liberated from unnecessary pressures. She doesn't have to play anyone else, doesn't have to adjust herself to fit the surrounding environment. She can be herself with all that belongs to her, from strengths and weaknesses to dreams and aspirations. When she lives authentically, life becomes much simpler and lighter. Living authentically also helps her choose more carefully in relationships. She doesn't need to open up to everyone just to prove that she is approachable or friendly. Instead, she chooses friends who truly understand and respect her. Those friends don't need her to change to please them, don't need her to do anything to prove her worth. These are the people who are willing to stand by her even when she is not perfect, even when she does not live up to others' standards. Their relationship is not based on superficial social niceties, but on respect and loyalty. An example of this is how she chooses friends who are willing to accompany her in all situations, not just during happy or favorable times. These are the people who do not judge her when she is weak, who do not leave when she needs support. They are people who believe in the value of relationships, and she also values them wholeheartedly. Their relationship is based on honesty, understanding, and loyalty. She doesn't need to pretend to be strong, doesn't need to try to please them. She knows that she can be herself and be accepted as such. Living true to herself also helps her maintain a peace of mind. She is not obsessed with being someone else, nor is she caught up in the race to gain approval from others. When not pressured to chase after expectations, she can live freely, focusing on the things that truly make her happy. Her life doesn't need perfection, just sincerity and simplicity. She understands that happiness does not come from what others think of her, but from whether she lives according to what she values. The freedom of not having to please others helps her live a more fulfilling life. She doesn't need to wait for someone to come and allow her to feel happy. She doesn't need to rely on others to feel fulfilled. She found value from within, from the authenticity and freedom she created for herself. She knows that no matter how others judge, her life is still valuable when she lives true to herself. Living with freedom from social pressures is not just a decision, but a sustainable commitment to oneself. She chose a difficult path, a path that not everyone dares to tread. But she knows that this is the only path for her to live an authentic life, a life not imposed by external standards. And when she achieves that freedom, she can walk her own path with pride, with determination, and with unparalleled tranquility. A woman who can stand alone is not lonely, she is free. She does not need a large group of friends, does not need someone to stand beside her to feel complete, because her value comes from within. Her strength is not measured by the number of people beside her, but by her ability to overcome difficulties, to build a life worth living on her own. She can stand firm, can face any challenge without needing others to validate her value. When a woman finds peace from within without needing recognition from the outside, it is a sign of a special strength. She knows she is strong enough to face the challenges in life, and this gives her an unparalleled freedom. She has overcome fears, expectations from society to live a life without constraints. That freedom does not come from being away from people, but from knowing how to live with herself in peace and confidence. To leave a final inspirational message, I want you to remember: if you see a woman with no friends or just a very small circle, don't assume she's lonely. She's secure, she's strong, and that's a beautiful thing. A woman like that doesn't need superficial relationships to feel important. She can choose, can filter out who is truly worthy of her time and energy. This is a person who has found value from within and cherishes sincere friends. Look back at yourself. Ask yourself who you spend time with, where you put your trust. Independence and authenticity are not easy, but when you achieve them, you will realize that they are a source of immense strength. Cherish your true relationships, be grateful for your true friends, and above all, be proud of your independence. That is what will help you stand firm and live a meaningful life.